Ashley Mears was the author of Pricing Beauty, The Making of a Fashion Model, and here's everything that goes into being a fashion model. Ashley Mears is a model turned sociologist. So she was doing research at the end of her modeling career, but then as she was also being a student conducting research, which was really interesting. She goes into all the nuances in a modeling career, and she really dives deep into what exactly makes a model's career, how are they successful, how the supply and demand of models works, how their pricing is justified, and the different regions that consider modeling to be commercial versus artistic and creative, and the fashion industry in general. So agents get a cut of the commission for the models that they find when it comes to bringing them to an agency, and they say, you have the look, or you have a cool look, and I can make it all happen for you in a few hours. But sociological questions spark, like, what is a look? How is an agent supposed to see value in it? So she dives into different ways to see it outside of the subjective view, and how Los Angeles is where models cash out on lucrative television work. So New York is where they see commercial opportunity, but Los Angeles is where they kind of have a bit more relaxed work that's not as like intense as the pressures of modeling. And fashion modeling is a winner take all market. So one model's look can shoot her into success, taking all the work, money, prestige, and fame. So female models make so much more money. It's one of those industries than male models, kind of also like another industry I'm not going to mention because I don't know if YouTube's gonna like take this video down. And same with like the influencer industry, it's dominated by females. Nobody complains there. So there's a little intrinsic value in a model's physique than other similarly built teens. So it's a very ephemeral look that they're typically looking for as times are changing, and it depends what market we're looking at. An invisible social world behind the scenes of fashion dubs a set of players, models, agents, and clients. So like all the staff behind the scenes, like bookers and producers, all tell what's going to happen to a model's career and if a model or a look makes it. So a look is not the same as beauty. They have ephemeral qualities. They sell bodily capital. Bookers broker the sale. So when it comes to ephemeral qualities, this means like things that just can go away. Like if someone has a baby face, they might not necessarily have a baby face forever for their lasting whole career. So a lot of like the average career for a model span, average career span for a model is usually 5 years. Usually it's in the like the height of the time of their development stages, which is what's so interesting to watch, and which is what I noticed with men. So when men are young, I think this is like one of my favorite times that makes me like where I find men the most attractive is when they're like 15 in the early 20s, but then once they hit 30, they just become like really hairy and like they look big and like bulky, where when they're in their teens, their skin is still nice, usually depending, their skin is still nice and they're just like starting to develop. And I think that's like watching a blooming flower, like it's really pretty. Same goes for women, for like models in the industry. When they're 15 is usually when they make it big or they're scouted, and that's like their first runway. And I remember I was 15 years old reading in Teen Vogue about these models that were 15, and a lot of them were 15, and that's when they were scouted and their like career blew up when it came to getting work and being hired the most. So youthfulness, clear skin, healthy teeth, those are the looks that they're looking for in general. So Ashley Mears covers the different types of models and fashion industries within the umbrella. So there's commercial producers create short-term economic profit, where these models work in print, catalog, and commercials, like where they sell toothpaste. And then others are in fashion for fashion's sake, also known as editorial, where they're looking for the prestige, runways, grand campaigns, and they're not necessarily worried about making money. They even reject the idea and are more about the prestige. So they are paradoxically willing to lose money in place of social esteem, and it's a huge gamble that they may or may not have a huge payoff. I can totally see this like within just like looking at Instagram and finding all the models, or not even models, just like influencers and people online who make an item bigger than it actually is, or like, because sometimes trends are just not attractive, and there is an item that everybody wants and thinks is hot because they saw it on the runway, or they saw another person, like some trends that are hold it, and then all of a sudden everybody wants to buy it, and so everybody thinks they're cool if they have it, or if they feel good about themselves, whatever it may be. So like I'm thinking of a specific person right now in my head. They pursue different types of payments. So modeling is like other cultural markets such as movies, music, food, art, and film, where high uncertainty and inequality are the norm. The exaggerated role of taste separates it from industries like law, manufacturing goods, medicine to determine their value. In fashion, modeling bookers never show what looks will appeal to clients. Consumer demand is fundamentally unknown. Fashion is about change after all. So that's a definition of fashion. It's trends, it's constantly moving, it's transient. Producers rely on each other, gossip, shared histories, and conventions to dictate their decisions. So the market is very social, and Linda Evangelista in the height of the 80s claimed she wouldn't get out of bed for less than $10,000. And in 2009, Gisele Bündchen grossed 25 million in contracts. So that's in 1 year. And I remember for a while, she was the highest paid model, and then now it's Kendall Jenner. Yet according to the Occupational Employment Statistics in 2009, the average model earned a bit over $27,000 annually. So that's like less than school teachers here in Los Angeles, which is not a very good salary. It's very, very low. Models' earnings in an agency are skewed. Some earn $100,000 a year, while others are in debt as deep as minus $20,000. Work is unstable and is contractual. So it's kind of like being a lawyer or being an actor or being like a freelancer. It's by contract, and you just have to hustle to get as much work as possible. Being a model is like being in a bad job. Or not necessarily a bad job, just like a small menial job where they don't need credentials and they just show up. So like movers or people who do very basic things that it doesn't take a lot of brains to do, like stocking items in a grocery store and things like that. I'm not putting down these jobs. We definitely do need these jobs. I'm not saying they're any lesser. I'm just saying that that's the equivalent of what model work is. However, unlike other bad jobs, cultural production is rich in cultural high status. Odds of making it big are low, but it seems as attractive work, especially for women, as they get paid more in the industry. So it's glamorized in magazines, but has a great deal of failure, and it's a series of job interviews, essentially with up to 15 castings a day in high season. So that's a lot of places to be, considering in a city like Los Angeles, it's impossible because they're driving everywhere. Unless all the places are in one industry or in one part of the city, that makes a lot of sense. But just like navigating through that and scheduling, and you might go behind. It sounds really stressful. I can see that in New York, that's still stressful, or that's just as stressful because it's so dense in the city, and a very concentrated area can cause even more traffic. I'm just like going through the logistics and the stress and frustration that you can go through. From the day models sign up to the job with like an agency, the clock ticks and their career lasts less than 5 years. Models that are successful just get determined to be of high value by the right people at the right time. So there's a lot of luck, there's a lot of chance, and there's a lot of just constant showing up. So I think part of the job of showing up with any job, or part of like the success of any job, is just by showing up and being consistent with it. And a lot of people are, and a lot of people aren't. So fashion is a great example of a social market, because the whole modeling industry is based on how products talk to each other about whose looks are in or out. There's either abstract social tastes or fixed markets that are thrown out the window completely. So just think of that, just keep that in mind. London and New York vary in their type of fashion market, considering like fashion today is a weak commercial enterprise in London with a stronghold in creativity and artistic concerns for fashion and fashion's sake. So they're more about the editorial. So a model can go to London if their career is more based on editorial, or if their like look is. And in New York, it's widely regarded as a business center for fashion and commerce. So models will go there. They say that models who make it big in the US go to New York. Like all the best models go to New York. And then all the meh models go to Los Angeles, because this is where you act. So they say that like when you have a modeling career, you do well and you're doing well, go to New York. But then when you start to gain weight, you go to Los Angeles, which is horrible. Like, because you're still good looking, you still kind of have what it takes, but then you kind of like let yourself go. So you cash out making big money just with commercials, which is a horrible, horrible thing to say, but it's true. That's how the industry works. The divide for fashion as art and fashion as commerce maps onto the fashion market as editorial versus commercial circuits. New York is seen as a place for models to seek commercial success, while London is opportunity for editorial models to amass prestige, as I said earlier. It's a great book because I think she really dives into how fast fashion got started because of Christian Dior, which is really interesting. I didn't know that it was through an haute couture maison. And the thing is, also she goes into how modeling started, and I'll create a couple of videos on those too in case you're interested. Give this a like. Let me know in the comments what exactly, if you want to see those videos. The book is really, really fascinating. If you're like interested in sociology, just like people's bodies. I know like a lot of people who are personally interested in like kinesiology and people's like the way people look. I'm very definitely interested in beauty and just like the whole beauty industry in general. So if you want more videos on that, let me know, comment below. And she goes into how how models and the model industry started. So the book is linked below. You can get it here. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.